Greetings, my good bitches. The name's Francis, Coke Francis. I'm an editor, Twitch streamer, drag artist, and I'm here because Griftmas really did come early this year. The prognosis isn't looking good, guys. The bad news is that this epidemic of transphobic brain rot has spread to the world's lungs, and the chances of recovery are slim. But the good news is that sometimes it's kind of funny. To be abundantly clear, I don't think transphobia itself is funny at all, because as we've seen, it brings out the worst in people. But sometimes the worst is really funny, because being transphobic is, in and of itself, one gigantic self-own. A woman who was once considered one of the greatest children's authors of all time has secured her legacy as a self-hating bigot with a Twitter addiction. A man once considered to be one of the greatest comedians of all time just earned himself a glowing 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. The second most famous member of the Runaways is gonna keep being the second most famous member of the Runaways. Oh my god, that one's just sad. But sometimes, chronic transphobia can yield some fascinating results. The latest example of this is Josh Seiter, a former Bachelorette contestant who pretended to be a trans woman for a few months. He recently claimed that the reason he did this was as a social experiment to expose the left and how gullible and delusional they are, though he never really elaborates further on what he was trying to expose. Already a deeply weird thing to do, but it gets weirder. Just like Steven Crowder and all these other transphobic grifters who look for any excuse to get into drag, Josh didn't stop dressing in drag after his little experiment. He's trying to disguise it as mocking the trans community, but honey, we all know a closet case when we see one. So today, I'll be doing a deep-ish dive on Miss Joshua Seiter and his reasoning behind this experiment. I say deep-ish because there's only so much information that's publicly available about a reality TV contestant who got eliminated after one episode. No, really, when you Google his name, there isn't even an AI overview that shows up. But before we do, if you are a fan of watching a very tired drag queen talk about nerd shit forever, I ask that you please come out as your desired gender and show the world your authentic self. But after thousands of people show their love and support for you, reject it entirely and expose your insidious and pointless plan by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. Josh was born in 1987 in Chicago, Illinois. As a child, he expressed an interest in performing arts because of course he did. But from 2007 to 2008, he actually worked as a firefighter in Urbana, Illinois. A real firefighter, by the way. Not like the male stripper version. We'll get to that in just a minute. From 2010 to 2013, he studied criminal litigation and sociology at Chicago-Kent College of Law at the Illinois Institute of Technology. However, his career ended up going in a slightly different direction. Miss Joshua Seiter's original claim to fame before the trans hoax was his brief but memorable appearance on season 11 of The Bachelorette. Now, I've indulged in reality TV through my days. I mean, of course, I am a gay, but I've actually never watched a full episode of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or any of their spin-offs, not even the DILF version that came out recently. It's simply because they bore me. I even stopped watching Flavor of Love after Goldie got sent home. 90 Day Fiancé started off strong, but really fizzled out once they started milking Big Ed like the cash cow he is and also sort of looks like. Wait, that's an insult to cows. I am sorry. Anyway, apparently Josh made a bold entrance on The Bachelorette by performing a striptease. I am beyond pissed that I couldn't actually find a clip of it, so here are some pictures for reference. Sure seems like a fun time, but despite such a grand gesture of love, he did not win the heart of Caitlin Bristow, a spin class instructor from Canada and the Bachelorette of season 11. Not only did he not win her heart, Miss then got sent home after one episode, joining the ranks of legends legendary performance artists like Soju from season 11 of Drag Race. Though this didn't actually launch the reality TV career that Josh had been hoping for, it did bring him into the public eye. After leaving The Bachelorette, Josh decided to use his platform to become an influencer and a mental health advocate, opening up about his struggles with bipolar disorder, OCD, and depression, as well as alleged stays at mental rehabilitation centers. And honestly, I can't knock that, because mental health advocacy is a noble cause. I mean, no doy. I don't have to tell you all that. In addition to monetizing his Instagram posts, Josh has made a humble living as an OnlyFans creator and a go-go dancer. Just to be clear, before we continue, there is absolutely nothing wrong with making a living as an OnlyFans creator or a go-go dancer. Anyone who thinks there is something wrong with that is just bitter because they didn't think to charge. However, Joshy's desire to bask in the limelight did not diminish over the years. Since he was apparently unable to find work in reality TV on his own, he did the next best thing: date as many reality TV cast members as possible over the past 4 years. First on his hit list was Yolanda Leak, who had appeared on Before the 90 Days in one of the strangest cases I had ever seen in that show's history. Yolanda was a 51-year-old single mom from Las Vegas and arguably one of the more likable cast members from that show, and was getting catfished by God only knows who posing as some British guy named Williams. Yes, Williams with an S. Seems legit. And as much as her kids begged her to understand the reality of the situation, Yolanda had fallen head over heels for a stock photo of a guy who Andrew Tate thinks he looks like. The good news is that she kissed Williams goodbye when Josh met up with her in Vegas and proposed just 2 months later. As we know, Josh certainly does love his romantic gestures, so he got her name tattooed on the inside of his arm. But let's be real, even though Yolanda might have gotten catfished, she's still a grown-ass woman. Almost 20 years his senior, actually. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the likelihood of a woman appreciating that kind of gesture diminishes with age. After Yolanda started giving Josh the cold shoulder and sometimes just straight up ghosting the guy, Josh confronted her and she came clean about the fact that she was dating and living with another guy at the time, according to Josh's interview with InTouch Weekly. However, Yolanda then denied Josh's claims, saying that not an ounce of them were true. So,
who's to say?
Josh then moved on to Corrine Staley, who is also from Before the 90 Days, and Lizzie Combs from Love After Lockup. Both of them he met via Instagram DMs, and allegedly ended both relationships in the year of our Lord, 2022. So now that we've set some context, here's where the tea gets really high. So Josh came out as pansexual in 2021. He later stated that he was bisexual in 2023, and you know what, sis? I feel you. I thought we had figured out bisexuality back in the 90s. Apparently we haven't, let alone pansexuality. Being bi is like being gay, but you're asked a lot more annoying questions. Anyway, after coming out as pan in 2021, Josh announced his engagement to a fellow male exotic dancer named David. And just look at these two divas. Seems wholesome enough, right? Until Josh's brother told InTouch that this was entirely fabricated. Quote, "He is not bisexual in the least and is 100% straight. In fact, he has a long-term girlfriend. He knows a lot of his followers and fans are gay men, so I'm led to believe this is all just to boost his OnlyFans. It's not real. He's poaching from the LGBTQ community. He knows if he claimed to be bi, then he could double his potential subscriber base. Everything he does is for money. He claims the subscribers on this site have gone from 400 to 2,000 since his announcement." Damn, bro, tell us how you really feel. So after this, Josh did confirm that he was in an open relationship with a woman named Jennifer. Quote,
"A lot of what is being alleged is in fact true. Some is not. I cannot elaborate further at this time."
Alright then, keep your secrets. Fast forward to 2023, and Josh's social media accounts posted a very peculiar note. Quote, "It is with an extremely heavy heart that we share the tragic news of Joshua's unexpected passing. All us who knew him can attest. Josh was an incredibly bright light in an increasingly dim world. Although our heartache at Joshua's passing pains us beyond measure, we find comfort in knowing that he is finally at peace. We hope and pray that his spirit can continue to live on in the pictures and words on this page, which we will leave up for the time being." Within the next 24 hours, a new post on Josh's page appeared. Josh had seemingly done the Jesus Christ shuffle and announced that his death report was a result of him being hacked.
As you can see, I am alive and well. Somebody was playing a cruel joke and mocking my mental illness and the struggles I've gone through with depression and suicide attempts, and I'm sorry for all the pain they caused when they made that post.
He did go on to slightly elaborate in an interview he did with The Advocate sometime later.
"I wish I could elucidate and crystallize the issue perfectly for everybody. I know that my information was not working when we tried it for the first 18 or 19 hours, and then somehow it was finally working the next day. All I know is that the next day, when I tried to log in, it finally worked, so I guess you'd have to interview my tech-savvy friends if you wanted to get the answers to those questions. But I really can't shed any more light on it. I wish I could."
Josh, of course, refused to provide The Advocate with the contact information of the people who had supposedly helped him. We love a secretive queen. It definitely couldn't be that he was definitely not trying to pull the oldest trick in the book when it comes to trying to revive your relevancy. No tea, no shade. But, Josh, you're not nearly important enough for a hacker to bother faking your death. So now, on to the part that you might have already heard about by now. In early 2024, Josh came out as a transgender woman on Instagram. Quote,
"As I have gotten older, I have tried my hardest to project the expected image of a strong, masculine son and brother. However, I no longer want to hide who I am, and I no longer want to deal with the mental turmoil that comes with suppressing such an important side of me. So, I ask for your thoughts and prayers and patience as I transition. I know it will take time for everyone, including myself, to adjust. I simply ask that you accept me now, just as you did before. I love you all. Jay."
Beautifully stated! And accept him they did. Well, some of them, anyway. Over the course of about 4 or 5 months, Josh posted over 100 videos detailing his early in transition phase. From makeup tips, to dating advice, to uplifting messages just reminding people to be kind. He received thousands of kind comments from the LGBTQ community and the left, and offering encouraging words in the face of the discrimination that he supposedly faced. But in this awesome and very cool world that we apparently live in, he also received increasingly cruel and threatening comments from others, namely, the right. He even caught the attention of that one lady on Twitter with the mental capacity of a crustacean. Josh spoke up about the abuse in interviews, including this one with the New York Post.
"The abuse has been awful. It is a complete 180 from what has been represented to me my whole life, that the LGBTQ+ community is accepting and tolerant."
Bitch, what? Okay, so, are these the hateful comments that you're referring to? The ones complimenting you and supporting you and saying your makeup looks great, which it really super doesn't. People are just trying to be nice. That's the abuse that you're talking about. Okay, Mary. It became a bit clearer that Josh was just trying to push buttons when he posted this on Twitter.
"I speak for all trans women when I say we love and support Donald J. Trump. Repost if you think I'm a valid trans woman."
Josh, we even think Caitlyn Jenner is a valid trans woman. She might be a miserable pick-me sack of shit who killed a person, but that doesn't have to do with her gender identity. Anyway, in October 2024, Josh Josh finally came clean. His transition was a hoax, just like his death. And not only was it a hoax, he claimed it was a social experiment. On an episode of Prime Time with Alex Stein, he had this to say.
I don't want to insult anybody. This makeup's terrible, so I need somebody to come fix it.
Jimmy!
He loves wiping men.
He loves wiping men, so look at that. Wipe him.
Oh,
Jimmy, wipe him
like you don't like
clean.
Okay, not that rough. You want to know what's going on? Well, I gotta be honest. For the last 5 months, I've been conducting a social experiment online to expose how gullible and how delusional the left is. Any biological man putting on woman face and putting on makeup is pulling a stunt. They are faking being a woman. And so what I did was I faked being a faker. I pretended to be a pretender. And I hope that this could help some people understand that just because you put on dresses and makeup as a man doesn't magically make you a woman.
And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, so this guy really pulled this stunt for 5 months and then claimed it was an experiment so that he could be like, I've won. At least he was finally able to put that sociology degree to some kind of use. God, I am such a positive person. Okay, Queen, so, what exactly did your experiment prove? That if you came out as trans, people would treat you with love and kindness? Or that normal, mentally stable people don't obsess over other people's genitals and mind their own business? Or was it because it was only conservatives and Trump dick riders who attacked you and accused you of faking your transition? Was this so they could also be like, I've won, and pretend that they knew you were faking the whole time? Did you finally own those libs, Josh? My good bitches, I'm about to tell you the real reason why Josh did all this. If you're not already sipping tea while watching this, then good golly, Miss Molly, go grab a cup because you are in for a time, honey. As we know, Josh is no stranger to dating reality TV stars for the clout he was unable to get himself. We're gonna do the Tarantino shuffle and do a little bit of out-of-order storytelling here. See, right before Josh faked his death in 2023, he very briefly dated another reality star. A real star. Monica Beverly Hills. A contestant on season 5 of Drag Race and the second woman in Drag Race history to come out as trans on the show. Kyla Sonique Love was the first to come out during the season 2 reunion, but Monica was the first to come out during a main challenge. The first time that had ever happened on a network TV show. Years later, Monica returned for All-Star season 8, and she has remained a favorite for Drag Race fans. Anyway, the whole fake death thing happened after Josh and Monica had broken it off after 3 weeks of dating. And after his death was disproved, Monica had this to say. And once again, here's another example of somebody making a point better than I ever possibly could. Hashtag not my shit. I'm happy to hear he's alive, but I'm so angry at the situation. It's infuriating that so many people who care about Josh have been deeply affected by this. Everyone deserves grace. But unfortunately, I can't help but think that he was able to pull this stunt as a cisgender white man, acting like he was dead, when so many of my sisters and trans women of color have been brutally murdered this year, and the same love and support isn't shown to them. Men who do this shit are usually trying to compensate for some insecurity or darkness inside them. The dolls know all too well that these men are dangerous, and I saw the red flags fast a mile away. To keep it frank, ban his Instagram account. He needs to get help or lock his ass up. Let this example speak volumes to the girls who already know. Keep those men who seek our fame and attention far away from us. I've learned my lesson, and now I'm only on to bigger and better things. This thing's getting a workout today. So after this takedown that's more savage than the behavior of large wild cats that zoologists have studied for centuries, Josh took a massive dose of copium and told Entertainment Weekly that, quote,
Ridiculous accusations made up by somebody with nothing better to do with their time. That's not my ex. I hung out with them 3 times, and I've had more physical contact with my mother than I did with them.
Joshy boy, honey, do you still not realize that you live in the age of keeping receipts?
The crazy part is, when Monica called you out for faking your own death, you insisted that you had never even dated her. In fact, you started using they/them pronouns for her, which is a major switch up from the breakup post you had made months earlier. Goofy! Not only that, but you had her Instagram in your profile while you were dating. Hello? So all this little stunt being the result of being dumped by an actual trans woman is f***ing insane. Seek help.
Evergreen. Monica spoke out again in the midst of all this drama, saying, quote, tell her I said thank you for this. So yeah, of course he'll continue to claim that this is all just an experiment, because he's too much of a right-wing pick-me to admit to himself, and the rest of the world who's figured it out, that this hoax was the result of his heart being broken by his actually famous trans ex, who dumped him for clout chasing. This might be the most 2024 story I've ever heard, and I just did a video on Riley Gaines. But here's the other thing. Josh continues to high-five his conservative buddies like a middle school bully trying to act like the girl he likes hasn't just epically owned him. But what the right is conveniently ignoring, while they celebrate him for such an epic troll, is that he's still doing this. As in, still dressing in drag, still wearing makeup, still thinking he's owning the libs. For a whole month, she has not repeated a single outfit. She is spending thousands on designer clothing and accessories. Do you know how much this Louis Vuitton bag costs? She doesn't even have to find excuses to dress up. She just does it every single day. This bitch gets into drag more than I do, and I do this shit for a living. These snide little captions are like throwing a glass of water at a wildfire. They do absolutely nothing to hide the fact that she looks happier than ever. So I have one final question for you, Joshua Seiter, the most fascinating, deeply closeted, self-hating clout chaser I have ever seen up in here on this day. Would you just shut up and come out already? Listen, Josh, what I'm about to say is exactly what I would tell you if I was speaking to you directly. My first instinct is to just write you off as another garden variety clout chaser who isn't talented enough to make a living besides grifting and right-wing dick writing. But I know people are more complicated than that. You are clearly a deeply unhappy person, and you probably feel as though you're unworthy of love and kindness. Even though you've been proven to be a perpetual liar, I don't think you are lying about dealing with mental illnesses, because I know what it's like to deal with that, and I know what it's like to have such a distorted view of the world that you've convinced yourself that everyone hates you, when that rationally just isn't the case. You might not believe me, but I actually completely understand why you're trying to get attention from the right, and why you would find that side appealing. People on the right, especially Trump supporters, are miserable. Their candidate just won the election a second time, and somehow they're still unhappy. This is because they themselves are unhappy. Otherwise, their spite and bitterness wouldn't be reflected in their voting choices. Bigots hate other groups of people because they hate themselves, and they either don't realize it, or they just don't know how to deal with it, or think that getting some kind of mental help is seen as shameful, and so they take it out on other people. They are so self-hating that they are incapable of comprehending the concepts of kindness and empathy towards others. Is the left actually gullible and delusional? Or is basic empathy just too outrageous for your mind to be able to process? Misery loves company, and since bigotry doesn't actually have any kind of end goal, you felt the need to go to extreme lengths to try and prove that an entire demographic somehow isn't capable of existing or being happy. You've seen everyone at the Daily Wire do it, from Ben Shapiro burning Barbie dolls at the supple young age of 39 to Matt Walsh saying he'd rather rip his own arm off than have gay parents. However, you, Josh, took it a step further because you also have something to hide. Except, and sorry to say this, you aren't doing a very good job of hiding it. Like, at all. You want a life beyond reality TV, beyond OnlyFans, beyond Instagram, and you don't know where to start. Or maybe you're feeling like you can't start a new life because you're in your mid-30s. The thing is, you can do that, but not until you start being honest with yourself. It's scary leaving a cult, and you will get a lot of hate and threats from the right when you finally decide to come clean. You probably won't receive forgiveness from a big portion of the left and the gay and trans communities. And honestly, they have every right to not forgive you after pulling such a shameless stunt that's just one more kick in the face while trans people are struggling for basic human rights. After your dramatic reveal in front of Alex Stein's cold ketamine-induced reaction, and clearly, you know that we gays love a reveal, after laughing about it and feeling like you really did something there for an hour or so, I know for a fact that after that, you went home and felt as empty inside as you did before. And the only way to fix that, as you've been advertising on social media for the past month, has been to express yourself and your gender in the way that you want to. So, like, just come out already, man.
Josh.
This is Park County Police. Please come out of the closet. Everybody here just wants you to come out of the closet.
Josh.
Maybe I'm completely wrong and you're actually genuinely a terrible dude with absolutely no hope for redemption, and I just wasted a portion of my video thinking otherwise. Who knows? I've never met you. You're one sick bastard. But I think you could own that and use it for good, if you wanted to. Hey good bitches, Editing Francis here. So I researched and wrote this script a couple weeks ago and filmed last weekend, and upon checking Josh's Twitter page for pictures and videos to use while editing this past week, I came across these, which were posted fairly recently. And this is absolutely repulsive. This is actually so much worse than I had realized, and after seeing these, I think Josh is truly beyond redemption at this point. And unfortunately, I think it is a fair judgment after all to describe him as another garden variety clout chaser who isn't talented enough to make a living off of anything else besides grifting and right-wing dick riding. I don't know if he's having some kind of episode right now, but this is actual psychotic behavior. It is beyond racist, and nothing can excuse this. I do still think Josh is a closet case, and I do still think he should just shut up and come out already, but I wanted to address this recent development and bring attention to the fact that this is the kind of person that the right is celebrating right now, which is obviously not surprising. So, yeah, anyway, go f*** yourself, Josh Seiter. I try really hard to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I always try to see the good in people, even when it isn't overtly visible. So maybe I'm the idiot for thinking you were better than this. Because apparently you are not. Here are the winning comments from the last video. Nightmare Alpha says, "These shirts ending up in a landfill is an insult to all the ET game cartridges." Jax Loves Nachos says, "This video shows what happens when pumpkin spice is the spiciest thing you can handle." And finally, Timothy Smith 294 says, "If Riley Gaines was a trans woman, other trans would roast her for serving 0% fish at the seafood market." You too could be featured in the next video. Leave a comment below. I will pick my favorite ones and give you a shout out next time. If you would like to guarantee your name be featured at the end of every video, please consider joining my Patreon. If you join any of the membership tiers that are conveniently named after Fallout protagonists, your name will be featured at the end of every video. You might also get some other cool things like access to my Discord, behind the scenes content on how I make my wigs, ad-free and uncensored versions of my videos. So, if you love my videos and my drag, you can support this channel directly by clicking the link to my Patreon in the description box. If you would like to see me simp for my favorite game characters and get visibly frustrated in real time, please follow me and sometimes my beautiful co-producer Mitchell on Twitch. I stream most Saturday or Sunday afternoons Pacific Standard Time, and we are still raising money for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. We're also very close to hitting our goal. Thank you so much to everyone who has donated. If you would like to help out, be sure to tune into a stream and help us support a great cause. If you would like to see even more of my clown mug elsewhere, please consider following me on Instagram or TikTok. My handle for all of the above is @QueenCokeFrancis. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so already, please come out as your desired gender and show the world that you're finally living your authentic self. But after thousands of people show you their love and support for you, reject it entirely and expose your insidious and pointless plan by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. Thank you again to all my patrons and subscribers who have helped my channel grow and thrive the way that it has been. And of course, as always, until next time,